Okay, we're at John Wayne Airport, Southern California. We're in front of Signature Aviation, and we're getting ready to do our pre-flight inspection. What I want to do is go through a few of the menus for Airfoil Labs, so we'll open them. They pop up in the last position that you left them, which is convenient. And we'll just start with the camera. I'm not going to go over every one of these buttons, but some of the important ones. On the camera, the go in and go out is where you would go through to the simulated walk mode, and we're going to go into that in further detail shortly. So you need to have this arrow checked. I have set up a hotkey to go in and out on my keyboard, and you would do that up in the settings menu, joystick, and equipment. I won't go into great detail on that right now. I don't generally like to see the passengers on the inside or the outside, maybe just for demonstration purposes, so I leave those checked off. When you start the program, I like to start inside the cockpit, and I leave the engine off. This is the hints, which are, you're going to hear the automated voice talk occasionally when I'm going through some of these tutorials. This is where they're set. The checklist, Airfoil Labs has a pretty good checklist, and you can just go through there, but I prefer to use the Pilot Operating Handbook, and you can download that from my site. So we'll close that up for now. We'll close these up as we go along. I'm going to leave the camera open for now. This is the weight and fuel. I like to make sure that you have a equal weighted pilot on either side, so that you don't have to worry about yaw and holding rudder in. It has a tendency to yaw and lean to one side if they're not equal. Just make sure you got some fuel in there. That's really all you have to go through on that. You can put baggage in there. This is where you would do it. When I first start the aircraft, I want to make sure that all of these are repaired. You click on the repair button, and if there's a problem, like if you've been messing around with starting the motor and so forth, your battery will get run down, and this is where you would come to repair that. If you have any problems and you don't want to go through the starting procedure and so forth, you can just go into auto start and it will start the aircraft. So we'll close that up. I use the X-plane settings. Seem to work better for me. And we'll close that up, and we'll close them all up for now. We'll go outside now.
Exterior manipulation mode is now active.
That is the hints automated voice, and it's in the menu where I had shown you where it is previously. So we're at number 1 on the pre-flight checklist, and that is pitot tube cover remove. You go up to it. When the finger pointer comes out, you just click on it, and we're going to open the door. I want to quickly show you moving the control, the yoke or whatever you have, to the right, left, forward, and aft moves you back and forward. I don't have high heels on, by the way. On a real airplane, you would, generally speaking, when you're doing the cabin inspection, we'll roll forward here just a little bit. You would just look inside the door, and you can do things that way, but I found it much easier with this particular. We'll just click on the seat. When the finger comes up, you click on the seat, and it puts you inside the aircraft. We're on number 2 of the pre-flight inspection, and we want to look down into the compartment. And right in this area, normally you're going to see a pilot operating handbook, registration. It's called the Aero checklist, and we will move on from there. We're going to move down to number 3. You want to check the airplane weight and balance. And how you can do that, I've already gone over this a little bit, so we'll just bring it up real quickly. Make sure there's pilots are equal weight and fuel. Close that up. Close that up. Want to set the parking brake. Now you should have a hotkey on your keyboard to do this. You can also do it this way. Notice how it pushes the tops of the rudder pedals down. So number 5, the control wheel lock remove. Just move the mouse over till the hand shows up and you just click on it. This number 6, you want to check and make sure that the ignition switch is to the off position. You'll see an arrow here when you move your mouse over it, either direction that you want to move it. So it's all the way to the left. This number 7, the avionics master switch to the off position. That's it right there. It is in the off position. Number 8, you want to turn the master switch on. 1, 2. You want to check your fuel. This is number 9. Check your fuel quantity indicators. And on the annunciator panel, you want to make sure that it's not showing that they are low on fuel. Number 10, turn the avionics master switch to on. So you click on the top here, turns it on, and you want to hear a fan start. Now if you can't hear it on this particular video, it might be hard to do that. So on your machine you should be able to turn the fuse on and off to hear it go on and off. That's the avionics cooling fan is what you're listening for. Now you turn the avionics master switch off. You want to check number 13, the static pressure alternate source valve. It is in the off position now when it's fully forward. And we'll rotate it through there. Number 14 is the annunciator panel switch. You go up there with the mouse until the arrow points up, and you just kind of hold it in the up position and till they blink on and off. And you want to make sure that all the letters are lit. Number 16, fuel selector valve to both. The prior pilot shut the aircraft down properly, and he turned the fuel selector valve to one tank or the other to keep the tanks from cross-feeding. If they aren't perfectly level, they will flow or cross-feed to one tank or the other. And so we're going to put it into the both position. Number 17, the fuel shutoff valve wants to be in the on position. Currently it is in the on position. I will rotate it through. This pulls and shuts off the fuel to the engine compartment if there's an engine fire or whatever, but it needs to be on. That's the on position. We're going to extend the flaps all the way down. It's 3 notches of flap, 30 degrees. It's number 19, pitot heat to the on position. And we're going to, normally you would be outside the aircraft and you would just feel the pitot tube to make sure it's heating in about 30 seconds, but we'll take a look at it now. And that's it right there. We'll come back in and we're going to assume that it works. So we turn the pitot heat off, number 20. Number 21, master switch to off. Number 22, the elevator trim set for takeoff. The prior pilot in this case, left us in a little bit of a nose down trim. And you should have a hotkey on your keyboard that sets the elevator trim to take off, and I do. So we'll click on that and it moves it down. Now we're going to go outside.
The exterior manipulation mode is now active.
And we'll go to number 23, the baggage door. We'll move forward just a little bit by pushing the joystick forward. And right here you see a key that opens the baggage compartment. So you will look in there, see what's there. You can kind of manipulate it around a little bit with your right mouse button, and then you just close it up. Number 24 is the autopilot static source opening. And you want to look, see if there's any blockage, and you can't, it's too small to tell, so you click on it. And you're going to see a toggle switch here for, as we go around and continue with the pre-flight inspection, you're going to be checking those on to green. Okay, so the last two items that we checked there, the baggage and the autopilot static source, are part of the fuselage. And the next major section, now that we've completed the cabin section, which is number 1, we're going to go to the empennage, which is the tails section. Don't confuse the autopilot static source as the main static source. Okay, so this is section 2, the empennage. We're going to turn to our right here and we'll take a look at the empennage area, which is the elevators, rudder, etc. So number 1, take off the rudder gust lock if it's installed. Doesn't look like there is one installed on this. And when we check for rudder movement, you'll be able to tell then. So number 2, take the tail tie down. Just finger pops up and you take it off. So we'll rotate around the back here. We'll walk around. Sometimes it's a little awkward to get adjusted here, but when you click on right here is the elevator trim. These are static wicks. An airplane is basically a Faraday cage because it's all metal and it will dissipate lightning. And we won't go into that right now, but what you're going to do is you're going to click on this here and just check for movement, and this window pops up and it check for free movement. This is the elevator pre-flight and it moved. So we'll look at the hinges. They give you little pictures here, which might be a little helpful. I think they're a little small, but so we'll go through that, check elevator push rod and the elevator trim, and this would be the elevator trim here. Now we'll check for movement on the rudder. It does have free movement, so that means that there's no rudder gust lock in there. And once again, the pictures, you go through here, check them. We'll back off just a little bit and we'll walk around. You also want to check the antennas, which are up here. Let's click on it. That comes up with the pre-flight rudder check. Oh well. See what that does. Does the same. So doesn't do any good to click on the antennas, I don't think, even though that's what they are there. And that's just going to give us a rudder lock again. So what you have is a navigation light. This is a white light back here, and when you turn on the nav light switch, that's one you get. And right here is the beacon. This is the one that flashes. So we'll continue on around. Okay, this is section 3, the right wing trailing edge. I put us in position here, and we'll start with the aileron, and you just click on it, pops up with the box. You know, if these are not already on, you would just turn them on to click on them to green. Gives you little pictures again, and the aileron moves up and down. Number 2, the flap check. You would check for security and condition. When you click on it, obviously because it's tied to a motor, it's not going to go up and down, but you'll hear it rumble a little bit. You go through here and you click on these 3 things. As part of the number 3 right wing trailing edge, you're also going to want to look at the wingtip, and so you just click here and you click on the boxes, and this would be your nav light out here, as well as a strobe light. Okay, this is section 4, the right wing, and you'll be looking at the leading edge for any dents or damage. And number 1 is wing tie down, so you just click on that to remove it. You look at the right main wheel tire, and there's a little door down here that opens and closes, and I've never seen a checklist pop up from that, so I don't know, maybe I'm missing it. But and you would look in there for wear, thread showing through the rubber, stuff like that, inflation, so forth. So you just close that up, and while we're here, we'll remove the chocks, and we're moving on to number 3, and this is the fuel tank sump check. And there's about 13 of them, and you just click on it, pops up with this window where you go through here and you check all these boxes. When you're done, all 13 of them will be okay. The 100, it will fill up with blue here, and that's 100 low lead. You're of course checking for color, you're looking for contamination, water contamination, so forth. So we'll close that up, and that's that. Now it gets a little tricky. You do have to be in position where what we're going to do is step on this here and put our left foot on this, and we're going to go on top of the wing to check for the actual fuel quantity. But before we do that, normally you would be in this position here, and you're going to look at your air vents for obstructions, and you would check those boxes. That's a little backwards. You would step on this first to look at those, but because it puts you in an awkward position, you can't do it. Now, to get up onto the wing, it's a little bit awkward. You have to get up, what I've found is that you have to get up pretty close, right about in this area, and up next to the wing, and then you click on it, it'll put you up there. If you're not in the proper position, it won't put you on top of the wing. So we'll click on it. It worked. And while we're up here, there's really nothing to click up here. If you click on this over here, you're going to get your wing, elevators, stuff like that. The only thing to click is the fuel cap, and it pops up and shows the amount. To get it to close, you just click on that. And another thing slightly tricky about this is if you move your yoke forward and back, joystick, whatever you have, right and left, it really doesn't get you down out of here. The only way to get down that I know of is to click on the right mouse, move the whole screen down, then you would click on the step.
The exterior manipulation mode is now active.
It gives you that warning, and you were actually outside at probably another small bug. So you have to kind of back up here and put yourself in a position getting away from the cowling and the power plant. The This is section 5, the nose. We're going to move a little bit forward here. And normally what you would do, the first, number one, is to check the fuel strainer drain valve. And that's on the bottom of the fuselage. We've already done that, so we will skip that for now. What we're going to do, number two, is to check the engine oil and the dipstick to make sure that we have enough oil in there, and we'll click on it. And this is also sort of positional. You got to kind of get up here. I believe this is the best position at a right angle to it. You click on it and the dipstick comes out. Let's back up a little bit. There's really not much to look at on the dipstick. Let's rotate up, and that's the top of it. That's what you see right there. And it shows you that we are full with 8 quarts, and you're not supposed to operate at less than 5 quarts. So to close it up, we get back up here, click on it, and that closes it up. This is number 3, and I put us in a position here. You want to come to the front of the airplane looking for symmetry, anything unusual. And to check the engine cooling air inlets, you're looking for obstructions. On this particular Airfoil Labs craft, there's really not a lot to click on at this point. And when the finger comes up here, and it tells you all the things that you can look at for in this area. And you're going to look for the oleo strut, that it's 4 inches, so forth. It tells you everything that you need to look at here, like chips on the propeller, spinner right here. You're going to look inside the cowling for foreign objects. And you're going to pull on the alternator belt for tension there, which you will get used to the correct amount of tension. And that's it for this area. And don't forget also that we also doing a fuel sump while we're under here, but we did it by clicking in this area, and we did all 13 at once. This is number 7 in the nose area checklist, and we're gonna look at the static port. You just click on it, click on the button. That's that. While we're here, I want to show you the GPU. It's called a ground power unit. You would use this if you were the batteries fail to start the engine, etc. There's a couple ways to get to it. You just go to the quick start and you'll see connect GPU. You can click it here, right? And it puts it out there. We'll turn that off for now. Close that up. And you can also do it by clicking on this. Puts it there. This is section 6, the left wing. And we're going to get up on top of the wing again, so we have to get in position. We'll move a little bit forward. I'll show you how we do this. I kind of get up here like this, make a left turn, get up right about here, back up a little there. And it takes us up on top of the wing. Click on it, gives us a fuel quantity, and now's the time to compare whether one is more than the other. Close it up, and we have the same situation. We have to move down this way to click on the step. That's with the right mouse button. Just click on it.
The exterior manipulation mode is now active.
Gives us the error warning again. and I just back up. Right here is that little door for the main wheel tire. This is the left tire. You just click on it, open it up. You're looking for the tire pressure, wear, etc. We'll take the chocks off. It's number 7 section, left wing, the leading edge. There's several things to look at along here, and of course you're looking for dents or whatever along this leading edge. This right here is the number 2, the stall warning opening. You click on it, and there's different ways to, what you have in there is a reed. At least on the older 172s it was a reed, it probably still is, and there's a little suction tool that you can use. They used to put a Kleenex over it and just draw out on it. It's another way to do it. So you close that up. Number 3 will get rid of the wing tie down. You want to check the landing and taxi lights. They're located right next to each other. Check the boxes. And when you were stepping up and doing the on the step here, not that step, that's the step to get into the door, but the step back over here, let's roll a little bit, this one right here, you were gonna want to check these for, they're the air inlets, and you want to check for obstruction. So you just click on those and we're off. And now we're ready to go around to the trailing edge, and when you're wheeling around you're going to be checking your lights on the wingtip, and sometimes that's a little, got to get into position, and you're going to look for a strobe and a navigation light. Of course they're not on now, and if you are operating at night you want to make sure that all of those are operating properly. Section 8, and this is the left wing trailing edge. We had just checked the wingtip, see anything that's broken there, and that is most often a fiberglass piece that covers the wing right there, and it can get damaged at times. When we're doing the left wing trailing edge, you're going to click on the number 1 is the aileron. You just click on it, and this looks familiar. Just go through the list and look at the little pictures, etc. Notice how when I click on it, the right aileron moves as well. Now you come over to the flaps. This is number 2. You just click on it, and notice that it doesn't move. It's just because it's got a push rod that's tied to a motor. Go through the thing here, the little boxes, click them off, and that's the end of the pre-flight checklist. So now you're going to move on to the next one, which is before starting engine, and that will be another video. Thank you very much.